nice of
Hey guys, we'll kind of get started. Hi everyone, it's my pleasure to welcome you to this year's Student Government Association Presidential and Senatorial Debate. My name is Chinwuko, and I've been working alongside Andrew Solomon, Alex Eanes, Mark Khalil, and Jules Saxena to help organize and facilitate this year's elections. So SGA exists to provide an open forum for dialogue concerning university affairs, involve students in productive partnership of shared governance, promote the welfare and unity of the greater student community, and to uphold the ideals and values of our Jesuit Catholic tradition. So on behalf of current SGA members, I would like to wish each candidate the best of luck, and thank you for your desire to continue this work and to work to better our student community. I'd also like to thank our moderators for volunteering to assist with this event. We have Dr. Jonathan Smith, who is the Assistant Professor in the African American Studies Department and also is the current Special Assistant to the President for Diversity and Community Engagement. We also have Kelly Erbelich. The Program Director for Retention and Academic Success. And we also have Rachel Scott, who is a current junior and cytotechnology major at SLU, and she's been very involved with SLU 101, Residence Hall Life, and SLU Wellness. So thank you so much for your time. And we'll get started with tonight's debate, so I'll kind of go over some basic rules. So our commission kind of decided to shake things up from past years. We really wanted to give senators an opportunity to discuss their platforms. So we'll get started with the executive board candidates, and then we'll follow up with Arts and Sciences, the John Cook School of Business, Parks College for Engineering, Aviation and Technology, and then end with the School for Public Health and Social Justice. So when you get up here, you'll have about a minute, just a very brief introduction about yourself and something about your platform. And we have some preset questions that we'll ask you, and you'll have about 2.5 minutes to answer. And we have kind of like signs, so you'll kind of know when you're out of time. And then after that, we might have time for some questions from the audience. And when it gets to the senators, there'll be questions and each senator can go through and answer the same question. But obviously for executive board candidates, they're tailored for each candidate and their position. So without further ado, we'll get started. Thanks. So Seth, you guys wanna?
To introduce yourselves?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So my name is Kevin Lynch. I am a junior here at St. Louis University studying English and Communication, and I am running for president of SGA with Team Engage. Team Ignite. We went to several campaign visits last year, sorry. But Team Ignite, wow, great start. So our overall platform points is we want to ignite a lot of excitement and pride in the student body. We want to ignite interest in the student interests among administrators. So that really manifests itself in challenging our administrators to really make sure that students are the center of their focus. As vice president, I'm the vice president of academic affairs this year in SGA with Team Engage. But this year I have really seen a lot of decisions made among administrators that students really were not consulted in enough. And so we really just want to make sure that students are the focus of this university.
Fantastic. I am also a junior. My name is Devon McDaniel. I'm majoring in Spanish with a minor in English. I'm running for Vice President of Student Organizations. Right now I am President of Student Activities Board as well as on the Executive Board of Club Soccer here. I am also heavily involved with Global Brigades. So this next year, I really want to continue the work that the current Vice President of Student Organizations, McDaniel, I would like to continue all the work that he's doing with the leadership model and the advisor kind of student organizations are required to have, but is somehow breaking down in communication. I would also like to continue his reevaluation of SLU groups and how useful it is to students, because student organizations aren't using it to its fullest potential, and we're not sure why that is. Also, something I want to do is work with the Student Involvement Center, Event Services, the Cross-Cultural Center, and the other professional departments within campus to make sure that student organizations are getting the most help in the best way possible.
Hi, my name is Esther Chinwuko. I am a freshman at the St. Louis University. I am studying electrical engineering in here, and I am running for Vice President International Affairs. I'm still learning English, so sometimes I may not pronounce correctly. But the reason why I wanted to run for this position is because when I come to SLU, I saw a lot of international students that SLU really support international students, and I would like to be involved more in that also. And for next year, I would like to work with the marketing and communication with develop the oriented advertisement for video, because I know that SLU is diverse, but I wanted to make it more diverse because I know SLU is awesome. And if I didn't know, one of my friends graduated from SLU, and if I didn't know her, I didn't know SLU exists. And I want everyone to know how SLU is good in academics and everything, so I wanted to work on that. And also the other one is I would like to work with the housing and residence life. I have found out that a lot of the international students prefer to live out of campus a lot, so I want to fix that. Living on the campus is one of the quick ways to get involved in SLU and events and everything, so I would like to work on that one too. Thank you.
All right, I'm Jamie Hardin, or Jay, I'll answer either one, so it doesn't matter. I'm a current sophomore here, I'm a health management major. Currently, I am the SGA Center for the Resident Hall Association, so, and I'm running for VP of Internal Affairs. So just being a part of Senate, I've kind of seen some of the problems that we'll have to deal with this year as far as like retention of senators and things like that. And it has been kind of difficult. And so just like on a broad sense, the goal will be just like getting senators more excited about Senate again. I feel like we're all like very involved students here at SLU because it's something that's like, I guess SLU in general like pushes for us to be just like very involved. But I think with that we kind of lost some of a lot of the senators as far as coming to Senate and things like that. So just getting guys excited about some of the topics that happen or discussed in the Senate, and also just the overall student body. It's like finding a better way, like ways to like send them information as far as like stuff that like occurs in Senate and things like that. Because as we can see, most of the people that are here today are people who have been involved in the Senate. So there's not like a lot of students here. So I just feel like the best, getting better means of communication with students and kind of getting them more excited, I guess, with things that happen in the city as well.
Hi, I'm Amanda Pekau. I'm currently running for the VP of Diversity and Inclusion. I'm a junior in the nursing program. I'm currently on core team for UNA, which is like the feminist voice at SLU. I am like a baby to SGA stuff, but I do know that Emily has done great things, especially with like DLC right now. So I'm looking forward to hopefully being able to like properly implement that next year, as well as working with student organizations and like the CCC and the student body to help kind of, because although SLU is very diverse, there is still that bubble around SLU, and I want to help pop that bubble and make it more inclusive. And since I am going to be the voice for diversity and inclusion, I definitely want to work with the student body and student organizations to help have their voices be heard. I also want to work with the counseling center to make that more accessible for students and have better options for students for mental health purposes, because obviously mental health is so important, especially during college. And I also want to work with the LGBTQ groups on campus, like Rainbow Alliance, and other gender-based groups like Free to Be and UNA and Actio, to help create a more inclusive environment in that case as well, and hopefully start implementing or like promoting students and student leaders and faculty and administration to potentially get like safe zone trained, which would also require working with the CCC because that is through the CCC and Rainbow Alliance.
Afternoon, guys. My name is Ismar Sehovic. I apologize if you guys can't really hear me. I can't really speak up. Conveniently lost my voice last night, so that's perfect. I'm running for the Vice President of Finance, and there are two main things that I really want to change and just add on to this year. First thing is wellness. So for those of you that are senators, you guys understand that wellness doesn't really have any directives. It's just kind of like we fund it if it really thinks it fits, mind, body, and spirit. And so really want to work towards like developing and implementing some directives for wellness, so that the Wellness Committee has something like written down to abide by, so that we can like efficiently and effectively fund these groups that are coming through and like putting on some amazing events. The next thing would to, what is it? Oh, I forgot English. All right, so the next thing would be to definitely foster communication. I noticed one of the big things was that like between this year and last year is the notes really weren't the best, And it's like nothing against the finance committee or anything. It's just like some CSOs didn't really have really good notes for as to like why they didn't receive funding or why they did, So we want to keep going and add on to that. We definitely want to make sure that everything's really written down so that we know exactly what we're doing. And for those CSOs that come back for like funding again, we know if we should fund them, like if they really did use their money the way they said they would. And we also want to help these people, so I'm going to work in tandem with CSOs and with the CSO VP, my girl Devon right there. And so yeah, we're going to work on that because we want people to efficiently use this money. We want them to know like how they can actually get to me and get to the finance committee to get this funding for stuff they need. We really don't want it to be like any confusion, just really line by line. Ronald did an amazing job of that this year, and I just want to continue those efforts.
So, Kevin, first question for you. What does shared governance mean to you, and what role can a student government association at SLU play in positively contributing to shared governance?
Yeah, so I think shared governance is making sure that everyone who is part of this community is at the table when decisions are being made. As I mentioned in my introduction, I have seen both successes in that with working with administrators this year and also some failures. I think we could always be trying to do better with shared governance. As far as SGA itself, I think this is something that SGA has struggled with internally. We've really struggled with making sure that all senators feel like they are valuable, all senators have authority within SGA. So as president, that's something that I definitely want to work with. I'll be working closely with Jamie, who is going to be the VP of Internal Affairs, just to make sure that our senators understand that they do have authority in our association and that their job is to talk with their constituents and make sure that the constituents understand that their voice matters as well. So I think shared governance is all about bringing everyone to the table who makes up this group.
Now, would you name 3 key areas you would like to address within this position and why? And we'll follow up to that. How has your experience at SLU and prior experience at SGA shaped that?
So I think the first one would be shared governance, again, which goes off basically of everything I just said in the first answer. I think that's something that we could always do better with, making sure that students are the focus. As far as my experience at SLU, really my experience with SGA, I've been at SGA for 3 years now, and that has shown me that this university could do a lot better with bringing students fully to the table. We're in a lot of meetings, but it's really important that the students who are in the meetings feel empowered to voice student concerns. The second area that I'd really like to focus on improving has to do with transportation. Our current president, Jay Bryant, has done a lot of great work with transportation this year. We have a very successful sort of pilot program for Metro Passes among the freshman student body. So all freshmen currently have Metro Passes to use. The goal is eventually to expand that program to all students. So as president, that's something that I definitely want to focus on. And then the final area that I'm really passionate about is diversity on campus. I think this is something that Dr. Costello has really helped us get better at, but we could always be doing better. I think that we also could be empowering Jonathan Smith, the Special Assistant for Diversity and Community Engagement, just making sure that he has all the resources he needs to make sure that diversity and the concerns around that issue are being addressed on campus.
Kevin, there have been concerns that there's not been any outreach from you and your ticket to the larger SLU community. What efforts can you point to that you've made to communicate with your future constituents, and how can the student body be confident that you will reach out?
Right, so campaigning has been kind of awkward for us since we are unopposed. The Senate races, some of them are very competitive. You're going to get a chance to hear from the senators in a bit. So we decided that it would be best to let the senators have sort of the floor when it comes to campaigning. We did not want to take away from them. I do know that a few senator candidates were trying to make visits to student groups, so we didn't want to take away from that, just because, again, we're not opposed, as you can see. So we didn't want to take away from the senator races. We do want to reach out with student groups after the elections, actually, to hold sort of open forums within student groups so that they can inform us about what they want us to do as the new board.
So Jamie, you're next. The key to developing an infrastructure for an effective governing body is good organization. How will you go about organizing ideas and empowering every senator to have a means to contribute?
I think Luella has already done a good job laying the foundation for that. So I feel like just kind of expanding on what she's already done. As far as the internal affairs committee goes, she's done a good job of getting representatives from Senate in that as well. So like she's done good with getting senators who are very involved in the Senate and come to these meetings and helping plan things like spring retreat and fall retreat and things like that. And so we do a good job reflecting and seeing like what has been working in Senate and things that we can improve upon in the future. So after the fall retreat, we had a meeting and we were able to look at things that maybe didn't work as well and things that we could improve on to make better in the spring. And so I feel like just that moment or the opportunity to kind of reflect and see what we're doing well and things that we aren't doing so well and being able to improve those things has been pretty crucial for SGA as a whole.
And as you've already mentioned, senator retention always seems to be a bit difficult. What plans have you identified as, what have you identified as the reasons for this, and what is your recommendation for a recruitment and retention plan for senators?
I'm gonna be completely honest. I wish I had the answers to getting the retention rate up. That's tough. I feel like I said earlier, there are a lot of here at SLU, people are very involved in things, and we're just like this kind of just like the culture of our college where students are kind of pushed to be involved. And I sometimes feel like SGA, because our meetings may be a little longer than other CSOs. We often kind of get pushed like a back burner sometimes because things are a little bit longer, and so it's kind of easy to like kind of skip a meeting here. And once that skipping kind of starts, it's kind of easy to like to get in the swing of that. So I feel like kind of catching the problem early. So like if I see like a trend of like a senator missing a meeting here or there, kind of like holding them accountable, maybe having a conversation with them. So because like it's not perpetuated throughout the entire semester. But other than that. That's kind of tough. So I think just like implementing new things and kind of seeing how that works, and then like not being afraid to try new things, and if that doesn't work, just try something else.
That feeds very well into this next question as well. How will you ensure interviews for unfilled Senate spots are unbiased and attract student leaders?
Well, I mentioned in the first question, we did a good job of getting the internal affairs committee. So it's just not one person that is in every interview is a committee. So it's like at least 5 to 7 people who are holding these interviews, and it's just like it's not my decision alone. So I feel like bringing in those new people, kind of like diversity of thought, and bringing in those other ideas and that other people have as far as the committee goes will help solve that problem.
And then last question. As VP of Internal Affairs, what are critical monthly strategies that you will employ to emphasize the role that committee representatives play in the association?
I feel like having senators or people who are in charge of those committees report at Senate meetings and give updates on like what their committee is doing is very important. It hasn't been something that has been as carried out as well as it could have been this semester. So I feel like kind of having those senators report out what their committee is doing, and then other senators know what they're working on, because a lot of times we don't necessarily know what other senators or committees are necessarily doing. So I just feel like having those senators do that will go a long way.
These next two questions are for Devon. First, do you believe that SLU groups is an effective use of university funds, given that many CSOs prefer not to use this platform? If so, please explain your reasoning, and if not, can you discuss alternatives that you may believe to be a better option?
Definitely. So one of the things I want to do is reevaluate the whole process of SLU groups. That's something that Mike has kind of been working on this year with David Young and some of the other people involved with SLU groups. Do I think it's a good use of funds? I'm not really sure. I'm leaning towards the no side, but however, on the other hand, I think there's a lack of marketing within the student organizations to just to brand SLU groups and make it available to all of the student organizations to the best of its ability, because I know right now we require student organizations to be on SLU groups and use SLU groups, but they don't know why, they don't know how. So, another possibility would be other avenues besides SLU groups like Vogt is one of the ones that we look at.
Your last question. Students are very concerned about SLU's budget crisis and how that will affect the student experience. So how will you aim to keep students and student organizations updated in this process and advocate for the best interest of the student body?
So I think the biggest thing is just listening to student organizations and their needs. I think sometimes we assume that student organizations need what they don't need. And also I think student organizations think we have more than we have. So just sitting down with student organizations with those concerns and having realistic, honest, candid talks about what the organization needs versus what the organization wants and just really wants, I guess. And trying to work with those organizations that maybe don't get enough funding for what they do need in order to grow the organization and have them be heavily involved with that process for creative solutions.
Thank you.
VP of Finance, Ismar. How do you plan to balance limited funds with an increased number of CSOs? And thinking about that, how can we hold student organizations accountable for effective spending of these received funds?
See, that's really tough because as Devon does a better job, she keeps increasing the amount of CSOs that we have. It kind of makes my job harder, makes the finance committee jobs harder. And it's really tough because we do want to increase the amount of CSOs that we have and want to increase what they can do, but like the fact of the matter is that we're limited to only a certain amount of money. And the whole point is to just like effectively and efficiently make sure that the correct CSOs are getting the correct amount of funding. We want to make sure that the nature of the student activity fee is to reach as many students as possible. We don't want it to be like some problems that I've encountered just this year, this is my first year in Senate, is that some inclusive events are still actually getting funded. And we just want to make sure that there's like not an even distribution of funds, because again, that'll make it tough depending on the nature. So I should slow your minute things, that's cool. Of your CSOs, but we definitely want to make sure that the correct CSOs are using their money correctly. And we don't want to go down the police route to make sure that everybody's turning in tickets and showing exactly what cent they spend, because we do trust our CSOs, there is a level of trust that we have. And we definitely do want to make sure that if, say, one CSO holds a large event and they do spend a lot of money, but it doesn't reach as many students as it doesn't scale. So let's say one committee is using $100,000, only 100 people come, as opposed to one committee or one CSO using $10,000 to get 200 people to come. We just want to make sure that it scales and try to get as many people coming out to events and benefiting from the student activity fund as possible. So it's definitely tough. I'm going to try to do my best, but as Katlyn Martin can vouch, it's kind of tough, and she's doing a stellar job in the finance committee right now, so definitely hope to have you on board next year so we can figure that out. Low-key plugging myself right now. What was that?
Well, what are your thoughts on wellness proposals that have been passed through Senate this year? And as you respond to that, how might you plan to add wellness directives to increase the effectiveness by which the funds are dispersed?
Right. I think we're doing amazing things with wellness this year. Compared to last year, we used about 30,000, I believe, 23,000, something like that, of the $100,000 that were allotted. Excuse me. Hey, Tommy. That were allotted. So 23,000 as opposed to like the 100,000 that we do get, and then that's about 76. You know, my math's all right. Not a math major business. 70K. That's 76K. That's just going to waste. You know, and it's not rolling over. And this year we've done a really amazing job. I mean, halfway through the year, we've allotted half of the money that we're given. And what'd you say about the directives?
Yeah, so how might you plan to add wellness directives to increase the effectiveness by which the funds are dispersed?
Right, so everything's kind of speculation. I really don't want to bind myself to any words right now because I definitely don't want to go through anything without contacting the committee and some senators and CSOs first. So we're definitely going to try to like get some dialogue going, hopefully before the end of this year, and kind of see what people want to see. If it's people coming in for repeat items, we definitely kind of want to steer away from that because if they're coming for the same thing every time they come for funding, it's kind of like an annual funding part 2 that they're almost guaranteed because we've got all this money that's just not being used. And this year we've just been giving it out like very frequently. That's a good thing, and also it's kind of bad because then a lot of CSOs that could be doing different things with that aren't getting that money. So we're definitely going to try to implement something that's like a more fair dispersion. And again, it goes to the communication because that's integral to like our operations. So definitely try to bolster that communication, see what people want to see in those directives.
And the last question, in your experience, what are some top issues that are common amongst all of the CSOs for which you could advocate?
Which I can advocate. How do you mean? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so what, thinking about CSOs, what are some of the top issues that you can identify, a common across all of them? And then thinking about this position, how would you advocate?
Yeah, well, definitely, it goes back to communication. I do sound like I'm repeating myself, but really that's the main thing. And Ronald's done an amazing job of that this year. The Finance Committee has been on top of it as well as the Wellness Committee. I just want to kind of increase that and just keep that communication going. Like for me, it's like you send me a text or an email or anything, you know, I'll get back to you within a day. That's what I've done with my Funding Buddies system. We want to increase that Funding Buddies system as well. And for those of you that aren't familiar, Funding Buddies help CSOs go through the annual funding process. And it's like a direct line to the committee. You guys can contact them whenever you need. And hopefully we're going to increase that and try to like make it like more person-to-person contact, more frequent meetings, but not to the point where we get annoying so that they don't like resent us. But definitely try to increase that so that they know that we're here and it's possible for them to come to us for help and just increase that communication. Just Funding Buddies, it's not like funding rulers or anything. We're not like here to stare down your neck and just make sure you guys are doing everything correctly. We trust you. We just want to increase that communication. Just kind of form a bond between wellness and I got a stop sign. But form a bond between wellness and wellness.
Thank you.
Amanda, a few questions for you.
I feel weird. I can't see.
DLC has been newly restructured for the upcoming academic year. How will you work in your position to ensure its success in advocating for underrepresented minority and oppressed groups on campus?
Yeah, totally. Well, I definitely, as I kind of said before, like I'm not like a senator or anything right now, so I am new to the whole SGA thing, but I definitely plan on like meeting with Emily and being able to know like what she and like the DLC committee, is that what it's called? Just DLC. Well, I know, but like your little like task force, to work with them to kind of like understand what the new model of DSC they wanted to go for and help be able to implement that and then promote that around campus because since it wasn't here this year, it obviously, there is the loss of motivation to, I guess, be a part of that. So hopefully being able to reach to CSOs and be able to advocate for like their voices and tell them that like they should really be a part of it so that their voices can be heard. And so pretty much just be mainly working with the DLC task force and Emily to kind of help implement that to the vision that they wanted it to be.
Can you tell us a bit about your experience with Occupy SLU and reflect on the clock tower accords and whether or not the university has made enough progress and why or why not on progress?
Honestly, I mean, I am aware of the clock tower accords, but I do not know to the extent in which the university has been implementing that. I have briefly talked to Emily about that. I'm sorry, I keep bringing you up. And she did kind of fill me in that it is going in progress, but I would definitely be talking with you about that, Dr. Smith, next year especially. And with Occupy SLU, I was here and I was able to kind of talk with the, I don't want to say protesters, but talk with the protesters and people and like the students that were there and be able to kind of understand where they were coming from, and it was a really cool experience in my personal opinion. But yeah, I can't give you this detailed opinion of mine on the clock tower course because I'm not completely educated as to what SLU has done for it yet, but I definitely plan on doing that obviously before I take office and whatnot, so that I can be up to date and help get that going. I don't know.
And a final question for you. Do you feel that wellness and counseling services for students should be expanded, and what are some needs you can identify in this field?
Definitely. So I know that the counseling center especially, there's a long waiting period, and personally, from my personal experience, I have used the counseling center and I've been switched to different, specialists as well, which can be very problematic for people with very serious mental health issues. And so I think it's really important to work with them to try to make it more accessible for students so that they're not waiting for months and months to get the help that they need. And also working with wellness to promote, body positivity, mental health image, because I don't know if I can stress this enough, but mental health is so important and there's so much stigma and shame around it. And so I think it would be really important to work with them and to have them work with student organizations to get known more, because I'm not sure that SLU Wellness itself could or is very well known to many student organizations, but also specifically working with counseling to make them more accessible for students and having more options so that students can feel like they have a place to go when they are in need.
A few questions for you, Esther.
Yes.
First, in your experience, what are some top issues that are common among international students, and what of those issues can you advocate for in your position?
Yes, so I kind of said it earlier, but one of them are the rate of how many international students are living on campus. I think one of the issue is that since some people just came to America and it's really hard to get involved right away. So I feel like we should, when they come to SLU, we should be welcoming more and to explain more how good it is to be involved in SLU and what it's like to be living on campus and what can they earn from that experience.
So, maybe a little follow-up here. What campus resources have been critical to your success as a student here?
Can you say that again, sorry?
What campus resources have you used that have helped you be successful here? As a student, as an international student.
As an international. Sorry,
What have you done to help you adjust to SLU, I guess?
yes, sorry. So I guess that is, so I think from my experience, I was in the ESL program last semester, and since English is my second language, they actually helped me through, and also writing center and everything, and they tell you what to expect and also guide you to how to be successful. So those experiences, and I'm still using those, and I still contact with the my ESL professors and everything, so those are really helpful.
Are there other things you think we should do to be more helpful?
Yes. So I guess yes. So since I'm from Japan, and I have realized that being international in America and St. Louis University, sometimes it's really hard to get in touch with a lot of American students since we have a different backgrounds and everything. So I feel that we should have something that we could understand each other, and also for example, Asian American Association. Those relate to American people and Asian people that they can get together. I think that's one of them as a really great thing. So I hope that we could do something more of that as a whole.
So these questions are for Grant Mayfield, who is currently abroad, so I believe Kevin will be responding to his answers. Okay. And then as you're pulling them up, I'll go ahead and read the question. Students are frustrated by a lack of a system to provide feedback for academic advising. Can you comment on this topic, and how do you plan to improve student academic advising services throughout your time?
So Grant said, advising is an area that both students and administrators have expressed interest in improving, so I am very excited to work through some of those issues together. The first steps will mostly consist of getting feedback from students and advisors as the upcoming course selections take place, and from there, discussions will take place as to how the system can be improved. Students should be able to develop a relationship with their advisors, who should be fully equipped to help them accomplish their academic goals while at the university.
The VP of Academic Affairs serves as the liaison to the Faculty Senate. What are the 3 primary areas of focus that you recommend for this role to be effective?
Grant said, listen actively. No faculty member is ever going to respect or consider the opinion of a student who is not listening actively to conversation and debate. To be effective as a leader in this group, I will need to understand each issue fully and develop a course of action which works best for students alongside the rest of the university community. Number 2, cultivate relationships. Getting to know the members of Faculty Senate on an individual level is vital to the success of this position. I want to be able to share my own opinions and pick the brains of faculty members in order to improve upon the policies we're discussing. Number 3, speak up. There will of course be times to speak up for students during work at the Faculty Senate, and it is vital for the VP of Academic Affairs to do so. For many members of that body, the only time they will directly hear the voice of the student body is through this venue. I will never be afraid to stand up for students and speak to our academic needs.
And last question. What strategies will you employ to communicate and advocate for the graduate student concerns?
The relationship between SGA and the Graduate Student Association, GSA, needs to be improved upon. That body and their representatives on SGA are much more in tune with graduate student issues than the vast majority of undergraduates, which makes their voice all the more important. I will ensure that their voices are included in academic conversations, both at the committee level and when working with upper level administrators.
So then we can move into, we'll just do 1 or 2 questions max, since we're kind of at the end of time for this section. So if anyone has like a very good question.
What are specifically Ismar and Devon's thoughts on raising the student activity fee?
So that is something we have discussed actually yesterday. We feel that a student activity fee does a lot for the student body and the student organizations that it funds, but we're not sure if it covers everything that the student organizations need. That's a conversation that we will be having. That's a great question. I think I am for it, in short.
I mean, I guess it'd be cool to kind of like flood our bank with just money, you know, but like before we even like consider that, I feel like we have to kind of go through the efficiency aspect and just make sure that everybody's using the money properly and that everybody's voicing their concerns. Because like, you know, if everybody just asked for money, we just gave it to them, there'd be a lot of money that would just go to waste. Excuse me, again, loss. It would just be a lot of money going to waste. And we definitely want to like steer clear from that. And there is money that is still unused, and it goes towards spot funding. So like, I feel like until we're like actually using the $900,000 just for like annual funding, or like using all of the spot funding, that really won't be a need for that yet. But you know, as she does her job well, Mike, you've been doing an amazing job. A little too good this year. It's kind of annoying. It's making our job really hard, you know. But like, I love it because I'm a student. But man, it's making my life tough. But yeah, right. You guys picked too good of a guy. And so yeah, I mean, he's doing a great job. Like until we can actually figure out the proper way to like allot all of our money and then like use 100% of it, and then maybe even more. Probably, I don't know. Yeah, never mind. So like, yeah, use all of it, then, maybe we could look at some of that possibilities. But like, as we're like talking about increasing technology fee, increasing fees here and there, I don't know how will the students respond to like even more money paid to like this fat tuition that we're already paying.
That is a discussion that we will need to have with the student organizations and the students within them.
Alright, so this is kind of to all of you guys. One of the critiques against SGA is that sometimes they may appear out of touch with the students, they might seem like elitist group, and there's possibly a lack of diversity in regards to the type of student is in SGA. So my question to you is, what would you do, like what goals as an e-board and also as SGA's organization as a whole would you use to really affect, I guess, empower outside students that yes, you can become involved in SGA, that your voice does matter, you do have power in regards to what happens at the university. If you need me to rephrase that, I'll try to.
Do you want us all to answer, or?
Yeah, feel free, I'll just answer that.
Okay, yeah, I'll go first. So I think that a big point that we need to consider, one, is student retention or senator retention. So before we start focusing on who new can we bring into the system, I think we need to make sure that we are retaining the members that we already have. I think that those issues, the issue of retention, is sort of illuminating on the fact of some of the issues that SGA has with representing student opinion, making sure that people know that our work is important. So I think that one, we need to focus on retaining the members that we do have. As far as bringing students who are not members of SGA into the system, I really think that we could hold more like open forums, send our senators out to their constituents. We as an e-board, I think, should do that as well. That's something that current e-board hasn't really done, and I think that we could benefit a lot from visiting with those organizations and empowering those groups to give us their opinions so that we can represent all student opinions.
In the interest of time, so maybe yeah. Alright, so next would be arts and sciences. You guys just want to do like a really short intro, just like your name, your grade, major, involvement.
Alright, well, I'll start. Hi, I'm Vogt. I'm a first-year student, obviously in the College of Arts and Sciences. I'm studying history and Spanish, so a couple different areas there. I'm also on the pre-law track, so a little bit of that pre-professional. And then a couple other things I'm involved in. Outside of SGA, I'm actually a producer on a radio show on SLU. It's a sports talk show that I never would have thought I would have gotten involved with before college, but I'm doing that. And then another program that I do is it's called the Collegiate Honors Preparatory Program, and that's a tutoring program for local public high schoolers who come to SLU and receive some ACT prep, so getting ready for that college entrance. So.
Hi, my name is Jasmin Dhillon, and I'm also a first-year student here. My major is neuroscience, and I have a possible minor in urban poverty. I'm involved with the MIC program, which is a combination of faith and service. I go to a service site in the inner city school once a week. I've also been in the wellness committee for 2 semesters now, and also the international affairs committee during the first semester.
I'm Katlyn Martin. I'm also a first-year student here at SLU. Right now I'm one of the 2 first-year senators in Senate. I've been involved in the MICA program, as Jasmin said, Billiken Buddies, and then also SLU Dance Marathon, and then the committees that I'm on are finance, student organizations, and then the food and dining services. And I'm a poli-sci major with international studies.
Hi, my name is Luella Loseille. I'm a current junior studying anthropology with a minor in French. In regards to involvement, I've been at SGA since my freshman year. I'm currently the Vice President of Internal Affairs. I'm also involved with the Freshman Commuter Program. I'm the commuter assistant for freshman commuters. And then I'm also involved with the First Year Experience Program as a SLU 101.
Awesome. I have 2 questions for all of you, so I'll read the first one, and then you can all have a chance to answer, and then we'll move on to the second one. So first, how do we empower students in arts and sciences to get more involved in the St. Louis community and expand service learning programs?
Sure. So for me, a committee that I've been involved in is the Mission and Ministry Committee, which is a pretty cool way for me to kind of learn about the university's sort of high purpose, which you don't always think about in something like SGA, which is a lot of nuts and bolts orientation sometimes. But I mean, I think empowering students to think about why they're here at SLU, how being here is different than being at UMSL or a different college where there isn't that focus on service and kind of outreach in the community. I think kind of faith and community outreach go hand in hand. I think being on that ministry committee has taught me a lot about how students can often have opportunities to grow their faith. One kind of program we started is the Agape Latte monthly speaker series, which is a really cool way for students to hear how members of the SLU community are able to share their faith and kind of do their own outreach in the SLU community and outside in the St. Louis community. So I think also another thing that President Bryan has done is the U passes, which I think obviously if you're going to go out in the community, you have to have a way to get there. I think it's important that students, especially first years, are able to use that U pass and maybe get to different areas in the St. Louis community if they haven't experienced before.
I think that empowerment is really important, especially being in the micro program, and it's something that we do weekly. And by getting that out to students, definitely visiting these student organizations that kind of go around the College of Arts and Sciences and letting them know their different options, how they can be more involved in community and service at the same time.
In terms of transportation, Graham mentioned the U-Passes that we were able to implement this year, so I think the two of us have really been working to encourage all freshman students to really use their U-Passes, and then working to implement that across the whole university, potentially in future years will really help students get out into the community. And then for service learning, I know quite a few classes within arts and sciences emphasize that. So I'm in an intro to social work class, and I have to have 30 service hours out somewhere in the community, and then you apply that to your classes. So working to maybe encourage other majors within arts and sciences to have service learning as part of one of their core requirements. In order to get those majors will help get outside of our SLU bubble and really working into the community and fulfilling our mission.
Do you mind repeating the question again?
Yeah, please. How do we empower students in arts and sciences to get more involved in the St. Louis community, and how do we expand service learning programs?
Okay. I think the arts and sciences is unique in the fact that as one of the largest colleges on campus, we're also one of the more diverse in regards to the different areas of studies that we have. So I would say in regards to empowering students, I would say definitely going to the different student organizations that have a major related to arts and sciences, going to them and really playing up the fact how what they're studying, what aspects that they bring to the College of Arts and Sciences can help in the greater SLU community, especially since we're really big here. It's about having that holistic approach, and I feel like collectively together we can make that difference within the community. In regards to service learning, I think that goes hand in hand with our Jesuit mission of being people for with others, and I would say really hit them early with it. I would say as early as SLU 101, because you are separated into groups based off your college. So starting there and really talking about how service learning and how that relates to what you're studying within your own specific major. And I would say hit them early with it, make sure that they continue out with it through all the first year experience, opportunities that they have throughout the year, but not only that, following through throughout their time here at SLU, making sure that they become more involved and engaged in those opportunities on campus.
All right, the second question is about how SLU can balance its commitment to greater education by adding more classes pertaining to one's major while retaining the liberal arts posture. So off of that, do you believe there should be fewer required philosophy and theology classes, and how we go about maintaining that balance?
Sure. So for me, I know the core curriculum is definitely a contentious issue within the College of Arts and Sciences. I do think a lot of students, maybe those who are not studying something like history or philosophy or theology, have a hard time seeing the value in these kind of more humanities-based classes. For me, I don't know if I necessarily would advocate for a direct subtraction for those classes, but I would like to see sort of a move toward greater flexibility for students within that core curriculum to be able to take maybe humanities classes, maybe some more social science-oriented classes. Personally, I love history, so I would love to see students taking more of those classes that sort of teach them about their past and what we can learn from that going forward. So I'd love to see maybe a little bit more flexibility in those sort of softer sciences and humanities classes that students are able to take, which makes sure that they can still sort of have that broad-based curriculum that we love here at liberal arts school, especially within the College of Arts and Sciences. It's such a diverse college. As well mentioned, there are people sort of on both ends of the spectrum, and I think it's important for everyone in the College of Education that touches on each aspect of the College of Arts and Sciences.
I definitely agree with that. It gets kind of hard, especially in College of Arts and Sciences, when your major already has so many departments, and then you have med or pre-law on top of that, and then you want to do a minor, but then you don't have any room. I think it's really important to take those classes that they have in theology. Like for me, it was unexpected, and I learned so much to keep that basis in the liberal arts, but also kind of, like you said, have flexibility so that you can take what you want to take for fun, and make room for students to just explore other fields, other classes that might not pertain to their majors.
I would also agree that I don't think I'd advocate for like a decrease in the number of classes, but push for a greater cross-listing so that your theologies and philosophies really seem relevant to what you're studying. So I'm a poli-sci major, so if there were like theology classes that looked at like theology in the political system, then I could directly see how the classes that I'm taking to get this holistic approach are actually applying to what I've planned on doing the rest of my life. So I think that increasing the number of cross-listed classes is a great way to find like a happy medium between keeping our liberal arts education and the classes that we want students to take, as well as incorporating it into our major, so it kind of like touches on both.
I think everyone else brought up really great points. Just to add to that, I would say we would definitely need to reevaluate first off like the purpose of why we have these requirements in the first place, or like why we have so many. Definitely understand like how it adds to the holistic approach, but I would not be opposed to perhaps decreasing some of them. So rather than worrying about that, I would say why not think about like what ways can we better effectively use the classes that we do have as part of the core requirement, rather than like having you need to have to take 3 theology, 3 philosophy. Like if we were to reduce them, how can we make that more effective, and what exactly do we want our students to learn from taking these classes to add to the holistic approach?
There's any questions from the crowd, or then we can move on to business.
So there has always been, or since I've been here, a gap between the students in the College of Arts and Sciences, since that is my college, and their senators. What will you do to help bridge that gap between students and senators so that you know what they want?
I have to go, so do you want to answer?
Go
All
ahead.
right. So I think communication is a really big thing in regards to senators and their constituencies, because you do elect your senators to represent your thoughts and your views. So if you're not able to access them at all, that's kind of like pointless in a sense. But first, I would say for the senators for the College of Arts and Sciences, there are 4. Work to collectively as a team to see like what different ways can we branch out to the different students in arts and sciences. We might have all different like majors or in different classes, or really talking to those students within those classes, but also talk with the people who are in the A&S Dean's office and really get to know those kind of people. I know that the A&S, they sporadically send out newsletters with updates of what's going on in the college, so definitely using those resources to get all the information the students need to know out.
Sure, so I think my proudest accomplishment as a first-year senator, along with Katlyn, has been our communication and our openness to hearing from our first-year students, which are a population that aren't always represented or maybe don't always feel their voice heard as loudly as upperclassmen students. So I'm really proud of what we've been able to do in terms of communicating with our constituents. We do try to send monthly or maybe bi-monthly emails to our students that we represent, which sometimes people tell us that we're a little bit too communicative. We try to strike a healthy balance, but we really do like to keep people informed. We've also done a pretty good job of including our office hours for people to come and actually voice their concerns face to face, and we really have had positive feedback. It's not just kind of shouting into the abyss. People really have been able to come back to us with improvements that they'd like to see and concerns that they have in the university. So I think being able to transfer those skills to arts and sciences would be great, especially since arts and sciences is such a diverse group of people. Obviously, you're going from freshman to senior there. You have biochem to philosophy, and all these different studies that people really need to have their voices heard. So I'm excited for that.
And that's actually a problem that I noticed while I was talking to my classmates about the elections. They didn't know that it was senators. It's like, yes, there are senators. And so I think getting ourselves out to their organizations and the places where college and arts and sciences students participate in their extracurriculars and getting ourselves out there and communicating through that venue would be helpful, and then knowing that we're here. It's nice to have a tool where your voice can be heard, but if you don't know about it, there's no point.
Yeah, I think Senate does a really good job of like giving you opportunities to communicate. So Luella has this, do 2 hours of office hours every month, and she tells us to constantly email our constituents. So Graham and I really capitalized upon that. We do office hours outside of degrees even when it's cold, and like make sure that all the groups, like through the MICA program, I tell all the MICAs come to my office hours, or all the people in my classes, come to office hours, and we work really hard to not just, go and sit outside of degrees, but like keep track of the requests or what students' concerns are, and then giving those to the appropriate people so that, decisions can be made and actions can be taken to fix what students actually want. So it's really just about taking advantage of what like you're supposed to do in Senate and like actually just capitalizing on that.
So next is the conference.
Okay, so just the same things. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Michael Lampkin. I am a first-year senator. I'm a first-year student here at SLU, and I'm from St. Charles, Missouri, so just outside of St. Louis. I'm currently studying economics and finance, and different organizations I'm in. Obviously, I'm involved in SGA. I'm heavily involved here. I'm on 3 committees. I'm on COMSO, Facilities, and Dining. I'm also a part of the Service Leadership Program through the BD School, and I'm also involved with SLU Dance Marathon.
Hi guys, I'm Emily Varner. I'm a sophomore at the John Cook School of Business. I'm studying sports business and marketing. I'm very involved around campus, whether that's in the business school or through SGA. I'm also an Orphan leader, so I think that's a great way to get to know people. I'm very approachable if you guys have any questions, like whether it's in the hallways or during office hours. Like I'm always very open to talking to people, and just love getting to know different people's perspectives of SLU.
Hi everyone, my name is Jade. I'm a junior and I'm studying accounting at ITM. Some of the clubs I'm involved with on campus, so I'm part of Leader for Life, and I'm on the leadership team for it. All of y'all should sign up for Leader for Life. I'm also a SLU ambassador, so I work at the Office of Mission. I'm also part of campus ministry, the MICA program, and I'm also part of the fraternity.
So your first question, what are your plans for collaborating with the new dean to advocate for student interest?
Okay, so advocating for student interest, I think first of all we need to open up that channel of communication. I know that started this year with a committee that's been newly formed with the dean, but just like getting the issues to the dean and bringing them to him would be greatly helpful, whether it be concerns about clubs and student organizations in the B school or with research grants and other opportunities that students here at the B school want to have.
I think one of the greatest accomplishments that students and the dean have worked towards this year is expanding the Dean Student Advisory Board to include all CSOs within the business school and all departments. But within that, the communication is still lacking within the business school, so definitely working on that. And then also working towards the FOCUS program, which is the career development resources that we have here in the business school. And one of the major phrases that's been going around this year is that the FOCUS program lacks focus. And I think the students that have been working with the deans kind of help revamp that have made tremendous progress, and they're piling it in the fall. So definitely continuing to give that valuable feedback. And our dean, he's a very welcoming person, but he kind of hides in his office. So he's very open to student opinions during the student advisory board meetings, but just having his face out there and having students know who he is. I understand he's a very busy person, but also being very approachable to students. It's important.
Yeah, so I think open communication is the main thing, but not only like reaching out to our senators, but also we want like students to reach out to, for example, if you're part of a particular club, you could reach out to your president and for like the president to voice their opinion to the dean as well. So open communication, also if you want the dean to reach out to students as well, maybe he can email the students on like a monthly basis, ask them if they have any questions, those kind of things as well too.
Your second question. Please evaluate opportunities available for undergraduate students to obtain scholarships, internships, and jobs. How can the School of Business improve these processes?
Okay, sure. So obviously, even though I'm just a first-year student, I've already started to get involved with the Career Resource Center, which provides many of those resources. And they really are like great people, but they really need to like try to like further their programs and further the reach of their programs. Whether that be through providing more events in the atrium, or just having more of their resume lookovers on the Wednesdays. Both of those are great opportunities that the Career Resource Center has, but they could definitely go a lot further. Let's see here, whether it be contacting, using faculty members' contacts and organizations to try to expand internship or job opportunities, or even just like trying to get clubs more involved with them. Either option would be great for career resources.
I think definitely something that we can do as students is to advocate for career resources. They have a lot of great opportunities. They have very knowledgeable staff. They have resources like handshakes and teach you how to write cover letters, but students just don't use these resources, and I think that's a huge shame because they are available for a limited amount of time while we're here at SLU. So just advocating to your fellow students, like these people know what they're talking about and they can really help you, and you should go to them like more often than what we do.
Yeah, I think Career Resources should also like reach out to students during their classes, maybe talk to professors, try to go to their classes and like have a presentation with them. Like one of my professors invited one of the members of the Career Resources Center to come and talk to us, and it was really informative. Along with that, I think something that should be something that business school needs more connectivity. Our professors at the business school are really good. I mean, not just the business school, but the whole school in general. But apart from classes, I feel like students don't interact with their professors like outside the classroom, and I think that would help students a lot if professors connect, maybe have open house meet and greets where professors can meet directly with students. Because even though if you're part of a particular department, let's say an accounting department, you don't get to interact with all the professors. So we have like a certain department every other week and an open meet and greet for students.
I have a question, I guess. If any of you guys have been involved in the service leadership program, I don't know if you have, but if you could just talk about how effective that is. Do you think students kind of just do it as a resume filler, or do you really think it kind of exposes students to real current issues around the St. Louis community, and what kind of leadership skills, like, can you think of like any tangible things that you've gained through that to kind of navigate through and hopefully work more with those issues after your time at SLU?
Yeah, sure. So with the service leadership program, they have definitely helped with leadership aspects for sure because of their monthly seminars. With those monthly seminars, they're designed to like address a certain focus of leadership. And the one that I got the most use out of so far, and obviously since I'm the first year, I've only gone to a few, was the one about leading meetings, and that was a really good way to like just learn how to carry yourself at a meeting and how to lead it. And but in terms of addressing it as an organization and whether people use it as a resume filler, I feel like that certainly could be the case with some people there. Some people are very passionate about it, but with the service leadership program, it does provide a very good opportunity, like you said, to be a resume filler. And one way that we could try to counteract that more would be to maybe try to make it a little bit more difficult, maybe like to like get in, or make it so like people are held to the standards that are set for them. Make it instead of like have 300 hours by the time you graduate as a senior, have it be like yearly goals or semester goals for service for students, so that way they're held to the standards that really that they should be held to.
I'm personally not involved with the service leadership program directly, but looking at the seniors who graduated from the program last year and the people I know in it, it's very impactful and definitely changes your perspective of the outside SLU community and then also your fellow SLU students. I think SLU really advocates for service, and I think that's something that's very valuable to SLU, and I think we should continue that. One of the biggest deterrents I think that people have with the service leadership program is the amount of time and dedication you have to put into it, which is definitely not a bad thing for service. Service should not be a one-time thing, but maybe some of the things they can do for the people who aren't as active in the service leadership program is to provide maybe like monthly opportunities for people to do service. So maybe for the people who can't commit to the 300 hours over your 4 years and maybe have smaller events here or there, that people can still be involved with service, but maybe not to the large scale that the full-time members are. I know they have the service-wide John Cookstool Business Day of Service, which is April 1st, but definitely reaching out to other students and trying to get more people involved, even if it is on a smaller scale.
Yeah, I think service leadership is a great program, I'm actually part of it, and I feel that I've definitely grown as a person, like with our mission being men and women for and with others. Service leadership program definitely emphasizes on it. We even have like an advisory board where we get people to come talk to us about service. We also have workshops where we have different topics. Like one of the workshops was like about continuing your service after you graduate. I definitely feel like I've grown a lot with it, and it might be a resume builder, but it's like helped me a lot. I'm going to be the person I am today, and I definitely the program has definitely helped me increase the number of service hours I've done, because the people in the program have encouraged me and motivated me to do the service, because we have a number of different sites, and then we have a directory where you can actually call people and ask them, can I join you, and you can carpool together, go to service sites together. Even the service day, the John Cookstool Business Service Day is organized by service leadership, and we send out emailers to students at the business school, and we also have teenagers that come from service leadership. So I like the program a lot. There are definitely certain categories where I can improve, and I know the advisory board is working on it.
What are your thoughts on the BIS 1000 program? Like, how would you go about reforming it? Because let's be honest, it's not perfect.
So the BIS 1000 program is for everyone that's not part of the B school. It's an introductory program to the business school, and it gives a brief overview of all the different departments of the business school. And the most controversial part of it, I guess you could say, would be the Excel portion of it. And that's because most students come out of that program still illiterate, so to speak, in Excel. And so I think that we should definitely try to improve upon that program and make it so the students are actually learning stuff rather than copying what they see the teacher do on the board. Having been a part of this last semester, I can assure you that's kind of what's happening. So yeah, definitely the improvement of the Excel portion, I'd for sure be in favor of.
BIS 1000 seems to change a lot from year to year, and I don't think we've still quite figured it out. But definitely the Excel part is a huge thing. In the business world today, that's a completely invaluable skill that you have to know. So definitely improving upon that, maybe having it more than just one semester. Some colleges require up to even 2 years of Excel. I'm not saying that we should jump to that, but I'm just saying to put that into perspective, there's a lot that we still need to learn from that. And then also for the class portion of that, maybe having more student involvements. I know one of the most impactful things about my BIS 100 experience were the student panels and getting to know students from different clubs and different departments. I'm kind of seeing the student perspective of it, because yeah, it's one thing for your teacher to hand you a piece of paper with a list of requirements, but to a first-year student, that doesn't really mean a lot. But to talking with other students and hearing about their study abroad experience and hearing about their internships, that's where the impact really lies.
we spoke about like how Career Resources Center can like reach out more students, maybe get those speakers to talk at these BIS 1000 classes, because BIS 1000 consists of a lecture along with the lab. I like to lecture a lot because my professor got different professors coming from the different departments, so that definitely helped me. But I think the lab section is what you're talking about. But that's something that definitely should be brought up to the dean, definitely work on, because I took it like 2 years back and my Excel is so yeah, so definitely we'll work on it.
Let's see if we can move on. The next school, it'll actually be the College for Public Health and Social Justice.
Cool.
So my name is Jason. I am actually one of the few newcomers running this year. I am a junior studying public health in the College for Public Health and Social Justice. I'm from St. Louis. I'm from Chesterfield, so that's just right outside the city. I've been living here though, closer in the city for 5 years. I am involved in quite a bit. I am involved in the micro program, which people have already talked enough about, so I won't bore you with that. I'm also a student ambassador working in the Office of Admission, so I'm one of the first lines of interaction for our college. And then I am also involved in Lions Club, where a good portion of my time goes. That's a public health club that's a part of an international organization that boasts being the largest service organization in the world. I have served on that executive board since my appointment of freshman year, and then I've served as president this past year. A lot of that is service-oriented, public health-based, as well as social justice-based. In addition with that, I do serve our seat on the Student Leadership Council, which is a coalition of organizations within our college that come together once a month to talk about their activities and how they can collaborate on it. And then finally, along with Mike, I served on the accreditation lunch when that was happening as student representatives, which was a lot of fun. And as a little bit tidbit about me, I'm running on the idea of growth and collaboration for my campaign.
Cool. So my name's Mike Devon. I'm a junior. I'm studying health management with a minor in Spanish. So I'm from Naperville, Illinois. So a lot of people here are from Chicago. So I'm from Naperville. Kind of some things that I'm involved in. I currently serve as the vice president for student organizations within the Student Government Association. I've had SG experience since my freshman year. Sophomore year, I served as the senator of the college, which was really awesome. I had the opportunity to help make SLU 100% tobacco free. I'm currently the student representative on that task force as well. July 1st is the date. Get excited, guys. It's going to be great. I also serve as the vice president of operations in St. Louis University Miracle Network Dance Marathon, and I'll be serving in that role through the event in November. I'm the president and co-founder for next year of the One Campaign at St. Louis University, which is an organization whose goal is to eliminate extreme poverty and preventable disease through political advocacy. So I started that my sophomore year, took a break this year because of SGA, and I'll be serving again as president next year. And then I'm also an Oriflam team leader, so that's always fun. But it's a great experience to really get in the trenches and get to meet our new first-year students.
All right, I have 2 questions for the 2 of you, much like the questions for Cook School. First, what are your plans for collaborating with the new dean to advocate for student interest, and do you have any experience in that?
Yeah, excellent question. So I've actually got to meet the new dean. A lot of us have. He came and talked to our Student Leadership Council, and a lot of his mission is empowering our students, from what I gather. My goal is not so much to constantly be like, hey, this is what our students want, so you should do this, this, and this, but help him achieve his goals. So I want to empower a lot of our students to get interested in organizations that are public health and social justice based. I don't want him to just have to take on the role of causing interest. We should empower our students to make the passion a norm for students within our college. I definitely think that he's on the right track, and I look forward to working with him. Again, I have worked with him on the Student Leadership Council, and in regards to how I've had experience doing this before, I'm currently leading a collaborative effort for a health fair that is touching on a lot of different areas and that a lot of different organizations are taking a part in. So I'm just trying to not only benefit our community, but also achieve what our dean's looking for in terms of collaboration across the university.
Can you repeat the question?
What are your plans for collaborating with the new dean to advocate for student interests?
Yeah. So I think one of the biggest things that is important when working with the new dean is kind of setting the precedent that students are at the table in the college decision. So he's been here, he started January 1st. So making sure that students are at the table when it comes to decisions that are made by the college, whether that be through academics or through student organizations and that stuff. In terms of my experience doing so, like I said, I served as the senator my sophomore year, and I met with Dean Trevathan, who was the previous dean, bi-weekly, so every 2 weeks. If not, if that didn't work out, every month. So I've done this before, just with a different character. I've also done it in my role as a vice president in student government. I meet with administrators on a regular basis, representatives from the Student Involvement Center, from the Division of Student Development, to communicate the needs for student organizations and what they're looking for and how we can better their experience here at SLU, so that can translate over into the college as well.
Second question. A common critique is that there are very few paid internship and research opportunities for students in college for public health and social justice. How do you plan to work to address that issue?
Absolutely, that's a fantastic question because that's currently what I'm doing with the public health fair. Dr. Shootman, for those of you who don't know, really leads that kind of research component to our college. And he completely agrees that students do not know research is an option when you're in our college. And it is. There's a lot of research to get involved in, but they kind of assume it's for grad students, which is not the case. So our current efforts outside of Student Government Association is at this public health fair, we'll be having a research symposium open to our graduate and undergraduate students. So not only will those who are currently involved in research have the opportunity to present their hard work, but we will have resources from Dr. Shootman's office about how our students can get involved in research, as well as if there are paid ones currently available.
So our college is one of the most highly ranked colleges at our university. We have the number 7th the Nation Health Management Program. I believe it's 23rd in public health. So we're pretty a well-known college in the nation. And we have a lot of resources with that available. A lot of our professors are top-notch. They come from a variety of backgrounds and have a lot of connections. So I think it's important to provide a place where all those connections can be in one place, so we can kind of have that go-to resource where students can go to see, oh, this professor used to work at this organization, maybe they can help connect me with that group. Just because the connections are so vast, I've learned that when I'm applying for internships this summer, and just having that information available to you would be extremely beneficial in the college. So I think that's something that we can definitely do. They have that in the mailer already that it goes out weekly, but I think we can definitely improve upon that and just really network and see where exactly do our faculty come from, and then so students are able to use those resources. Do you guys have any questions for us? Yes, Mr.
It's a good question for both of you. You guys both sound really involved. You've got a lot on your plates. How's that going to affect your time management? Just being able to commit to this as much as the students deserve.
Great question. So I actually encountered that problem this year. I was up for re-election for president of SLU Lions Club, and my entire exec board, per our constitution, allowed me to extend my term. But I actually withdrew from the race because I knew this is something I wanted to do. That was also a twofold decision because I realized I had already exhausted my ideas in that leadership position, and it's time to commit myself to something in which I knew I had ideas I could act on. So that's why I'm hoping to break into SGA and make that one of my primary focuses for my last year at SLU.
So I'm in a similar boat. I have a lot on my plate this year. Next year I'm obviously not running for SGA exec board. That takes up a lot of my time currently. So that's a big time commitment that I'm not doing next year as well. So that will clear up a lot of time for me. I'm not too worried about it. I'm really good about managing schedules and shoot so much ECAL's grades. Questions? Yeah, shoot.
Do you think, so college public health is very good about allowing students to get involved in service learning. Do you feel as though that is sustained, that allows students to actually get immersed in the student community? Or do you think for most students it's just something they check off from your experiences and from other people?
Yeah, I can definitely talk about my experiences. It's not only just like, hey, go do these 30 hours, but the curriculums, I've been in 3 classes that have had it. The curriculums require you to take what you learned and apply it to the course. So if the incentive to get a good grade wasn't enough, you also just learn a lot from your service learning experience that then you can apply and have a soapbox, so to speak, to talk about it with your other students. So I believe it's been taken great advantage of, and I'm looking forward for it to continue to grow, because when we receive that list of, hey, organizations, service sites you can go to, it's not as big as it should be. There's a lot more out in the St. Louis community we can take advantage of. So I am looking for it to grow, but otherwise it's a great program.
Yeah, I agree. I think right now the program's in a good place. I think there's a lot of room for growth. I kind of wish that each of the classes built upon each other when it comes to service learning. So I wish that you had a kind of a different set of service sites for the next class, if this makes sense. Like the 100 level classes, you'll have service sites, and I wish you had ones that were maybe more in depth for the 200 level ones that you kind of take what you learned and do more with it in those classes. But I definitely think that the program's in a good place, and it should definitely serve as like I wish other colleges did more of it, because I do think it's a very, very good program. So definitely we can work with other colleges as well at the university to kind of promote that. So I take a lot from it, and I really appreciate that our college has it. Do you have a question?
Yes. And I could be really, I'm not like an expert on college for public health and social justice, so I could be completely off base. You guys had great answers, but it seemed like, they were definitely geared towards like the public health side, but what exactly are you going to do for the social justice aspect of this?
Absolutely. Yeah. So a lot of the times when we talk about our college, the other half of it kind of gets left out of the conversation, and that's by no means a good thing at all. In fact, we have a lot of organizations on our campus that are really focused to social work, social justice, and everything under that. In fact, there's a list of over 100 organizations at our school that have all of these great ideas and goals concerning both public health and social justice, but they don't collaborate with each other. A lot of the times the public health ones seem to be the loudest. So our social work student associations, any organization working on giving back to communities through policy advocacy and so forth, aren't getting the attention they deserve. So a huge initiative of mine would be to reach out to those organizations. It's not enough for us to say, hey, here's office hours, come in and come talk to us. We have to be more proactive instead of reactive. So I want to reach out to those organizations and say, you are a part of this college too. In fact, you're a huge part of it. So what can we do to make sure you're getting the resources you need and the attention that you deserve?
Yeah. So there's some history behind it. So the social justice aspect, so the criminal justice and the social work majors were added to the college about 4 or 5 years ago in an effort to be more collaborative than the college. And there's been a lot of tension, I think, within our college in terms of the different faculty members that represent those different aspects. So I'm curious as to what our new dean thinks of that, because I know there's been talk when we were searching for a dean as to, is this something that is really sustainable, and are we going to move forward with having this combination of these two very, very different yet similar areas within public health. So I'd love to have that conversation with our dean, saying, how are we going to make sure that this is a sustainable solution to make sure that everyone is benefiting from this, and it's not just the public health, health management majors, and making sure that the other, I don't want to say the other side, but the other two majors that are there and the other two programs that are there really are getting the best resources they can by being in the college. And that's not like a jab at anything. I just think we need to have that conversation again, because he's new. That wasn't his decision, and there's already a lot of tension with it, to be honest, already within our faculty. So just continuing that conversation, not putting it on the wayside, so that if we do want to move forward with it being there, that we do come up with a plan to make sure that those majors and programs are well represented within our college, and that it's not just public health, health management, emergency management.
Time, may I follow up on that? Excellent, yeah, might as well just have a dialogue here. I actually, had a chance to watch the dean interact with the representative for the Social Work Student Association for the Student Leadership Council, and it amazed me that our social work students take public health courses, but our public health students don't take social work courses. So it's kind of like they're forcing us to be us being the health side of it, the dominant force, simply because we don't have to enroll in those classes. So he didn't make any hard commitments, and of course I wouldn't speak for him, but it does sound like a huge disconnect is coming from the academic side, not only the student culture. So I definitely like that. That is something to work on. Yeah, absolutely.
Good thing there's 2 seats. Cool. Any other questions? I know the college is a great learner.
It's pretty fantastic. I've enjoyed it.
Cool. Well, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
And last but not least, we'll end with parks.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Andrew Budd, and I am a current first year in the Parks College of Engineering, Aviation, and Technology. My major is mechanical engineering, and I am heavily involved right now in SGA. I serve as a committee representative on the Committee for Student Organizations, as well as Facility and Services. On top of that, I attend all the SGA Senate meetings, as well as I've participated in the Parks College Dean Search process. I'm also involved in the MICA program, and I'm going to be an Orphan leader, so I'm very excited for that.
Hey guys, I'm Danny Motes. I am an aerospace engineering major at Parks, currently in my 3rd year. I am involved in Parks racing, Formula SAE race car team. We brought the first car to competition in 7 years. I'm also involved in the Dean Search. Yeah.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Dylan McCloskey. I'm also a first year student, but just like Andrew. So now I'm a major of civil engineering and a minor of pre-law, so that's like interesting, just rare. But yes, so I'm involved in concrete canoe, Model UN, Model Trial, a few other things like Student Activities Board, I forget that, and the Civil Engineering Society. So I like to be really involved in SLU and I love it. I'm also a Billiken buddy, so I actually have a Billiken buddy here, a prospective student. So I love showing around. I'm sorry I made him sit through this. So yeah, so now he's like, wow, I sat through 2.5 hours of this. And so hopefully he comes here now. But going for SLU. So yeah, yes, and I think that's all. We're not discussing platforms during this, so we'll just wait for the questions. Okay. Yep. So I'm Dylan.
Alright, so I have 2 questions for you. You might be familiar with the first one. What are your plans for collaborating with the new dean to advocate for student interests?
Well, I just like to start off by saying that I have been participating on the Dean Search process, so I already have been in with Dr. Buckner and Dr. Sehovic, which has been really great. I look forward to seeing who gets selected as our dean, and I look forward to working with them. And starting that collaboration right from the get-go. It's very, very exciting time to be able to start off with a new dean and form that relationship between the dean and the students. I want to be able to express student concerns and also get to know what the dean's plan is for the college and see where the students can help implement their plans and further them. So just by working on collaboration and by also expressing our student concerns, I hope to develop a really great new relationship with our new dean.
So I spoke one-on-one with Dr. Buckner and also Dr. Sehovic, and I think regardless of who gets chosen as the new dean, it's going to be a fantastic new era of CSOs having a voice and CSOs being supported by the school. There's a bit of a disconnect between professors and the administration and Parks CSOs, and the both candidates are aware of this, and they're aware of the benefits that could be had by supporting these clubs better. So yeah, I think it's a very exciting time. It's well said.
And so to build off that, I think we have an issue with like CSOs keeping their charter. Like for example, Engineers Without Borders. Like they're obviously a national organization, like trying to stay in the college and trying to stay as a chartered organization. They lost their charter last year, and I think just like making it easier for these organizations to keep their charter. If I am elected, I will ensure like to talk with the Parks College and to really increase the communication, kind of like Graham and Caitlin, our current first year student senators were talking. They are always emailing us, and it's great because I know what's going on. And so like that's something that I think is really important. I think they really got the first year students involved, and that's what I want to do is make sure that that Parks College is involved, because we're kind of far from the rest of the campus, and so making sure that we stay a part of the campus even with our distance is something that's really important to me, especially since like we are very different from many of the other colleges because we're engineering and we're math based, and even the aviation part, I think getting aviation students more involved too, because they have to go and do their flying in Cahokia, Illinois, so maybe they feel like disconnected from us as well. So I think really getting us involved, and I think starting off by doing monthly emails. I will for sure be doing monthly emails if I'm elected. So thank you.
So two common concerns from your constituents deal with limited general access to technology and poor assistance with helping match students to internships and jobs. What are your ideas to address these concerns?
Yes, those are two very important concerns of students to have for the Parks College. First, I look to increase faculty engagement with students. I believe that will help on two fronts. That will help increase access to equipment, as well as increase opportunities for internships. So by talking with the dean, encouraging his or her faculty to be involved in student organizations is a really big part of it. I also look forward to hopefully having the opportunity to push for more engineering-specific employers at SLU career fairs by collaborating with the dean and career services. So by doing those two things, I think we can really increase those opportunities for students and address those concerns.
So after 3 years on an e-board at Parks College, I've found that the most effective way to get students to have their talents showcased and to attract the attention of major corporations who not only will hire students but also invest in Parks College is to have them involved in these CSOs. I've seen it time and time again where a company will come up to one of the design teams and hire people right off the spot. They'll point to something and say, who made that? I'll take that person. So I think this is critical. The other thing I'd like to see is more faculty support. Faculty have connections to industry. Faculty they've done this before, and this could be a huge asset for SLU. I'd like to work with the new dean, whoever that may be, to well, since they have a say in who gets hired, I think it's going to be a very important place where I can advise them and give them updates on what the CSOs need as far as faculty support.
Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, I'm a part of American Society of Civil Engineers, and so we do many different things with competitions, but even past that, we will, in our meetings, bring in professionals, and it's a really nice way for them to present on things that we find interesting. Maybe you might not, because it's like buildings and bridges, but we find it really interesting, and so they give maybe like a 30 to 45 minute presentation, and then at the end of it, they'll hand out business cards, and it's a really good way to get involved and to start communicating with employers. And so they always are talking about, like one of our last ones at our last meeting, they actually were talking about internships of the summer and how they really want SLU students. And so I think by making our CSO stronger, like what was mentioned, that we make better connections with students and making other societies, because I only know about the civil society, but making the other societies do something similar and ask them to bring in professionals to their meetings, because it only adds about 30 minutes to their meeting, and then at the end they get to meet with these professionals, and now they have a connection. They have a business card, someone to call at that business, and try and get an internship, and then and later try and get a career. So I think that is a really good way to set up the career, and right now it's really working for the Civil Society of Engineers.
So I'm not in Parks College, but I have noticed that there is, if you look at the demographics, it's male dominated. So I was wondering if you have thought about or considered advocating for your college and kind of reaching out and making it more female or woman friendly. Yeah, I just want your opinion.
Yeah, I think it's definitely very important that we represent women well within Parks College. First, I would like to start off by encouraging the dean to push our recruiting resources to recruiting female students. It's very important. I think it's important to start off right there. And second off, I'd like to continue to put resources into and encourage the growth of the Society of Women Engineers within Parks College, encourage them to be active, and really support growth of women within the college.
As an e-board member at Parks College, I think it is very critical to have equal representation of everyone, genders, majors, everything. I personally have met with SWE multiple times and tried to have it go both ways. I want to see more women get involved with the design teams where historically, it's like, oh, okay, there's a bunch of guys sitting in a garage, making cars. That's not what it is. There's opportunities for everybody, and I think we're just starting to see some crossover. I've actually been to a few SWE meetings, and we've had some of their members come over to our meetings, and it's fantastic. We have ideas for each other, and I'd like to promote that.
I think this is definitely a hard issue, especially for a panel of all men to answer. But yeah, I totally see that problem in our college because as in the civil engineering department, in the freshman engineering department, last semester there was one girl, this semester there's two, so we're getting better. But really it's just like, I think being more inclusive. I think it takes every person in the room to be able to like push for more girls in the engineering department. Like, I think just being friendly to the girls in like your class is starting off on the right foot, and being inclusive, including them in projects, because like for some reason some guys can like go off and start like trying to like, oh, they're doing guy stuff. It's like, or working in a garage, as we stated. So making it clear that it's not just guys working in a garage or building a canoe, and I think like then we're going to start to see it, and just being friendly to the other gender. But I don't really see like us pushing girls into a program that they wouldn't want to be in. But I definitely see that if all Parks students were just like more friendly, then it would work out a lot better, and we'd be able to see more females trying to get in Parks College.
So starting with the Billiken Buddy, so we advertise SLU as Be a Billiken. What does being a Billiken mean to you, and how will that influence your kind of term in SGA?
Okay, well, I think one of the biggest things about being a Billiken is serving others. And again, that sounds like I'm repeating everyone else, but that's our thing, is we serve others, and we're always looking out for other people. And so I think that's the biggest thing, and that's what I want to do. I don't want to just sit on SGA and just vote for this CSO to get money and this CSO to get money. I actually want to make Parks College better for the people that have to go every day to class, so I think that's what it's about. And that's what I want to do, is serve other people. And so that's why I'm asking for the Parks College to vote me as their senator. Because I really want to stand up. And also, one thing that I think Mike touched upon was, ensuring that tobacco isn't on our campus. And that's a big thing too, is at Parks College, every day there's a group of people that you have to walk past when entering, and you have to breathe in tobacco. And I think that's one of the first things I want to make sure that doesn't have to happen, that we can walk into a building where there's clean air, and certainly those people have the right to do that, but in a different place, not right at the entryway of our college. And so I think that's one of the first things I want to do, is like serve the people to have free air before they go into their school. And I think that's just like a common courtesy kind of thing, not to smoke in front of the doorway. So that's what I think, serving others.
I think being a Billiken and pushing forward SLU's mission starts with camaraderie. I'd like to be the catalyst for a fundamental change in the culture between Parks College and the rest of SLU, the business school, everyone. I'd like to see groups collaborating across Grand Boulevard. I want to knock down that wall, pop that bubble around McDonnell Douglas Hall and the rest of SLU, because when we get together, with business students, I know And on a lot of the design teams, part of the goal is to have a great business report, cost report, things like that. And unfortunately, there's no back and forth between the other schools. So I'd really like to promote a dialogue and an exchange of talent, really, and build that camaraderie and get everyone together. I know when that happens and people meet new people, it drives the energy and a lot can get done. So that's what I'd like to see.
To me, being a Billiken means being involved and also embracing SLU's mission of being men and women for and with others. By doing that, I believe that we'll be able to increase collaboration, again, between parks and other departments within other schools within the university. Also just being involved and engaged in the St. Louis community with the Metro passes, I think pushing for that to be increased to all the student body. Being involved and loving SLU is what being a Billiken means to me.
So, I think one of you mentioned that there's an organization, Engineering Without Borders. So that's an initiative that pushes for your college to be a little bit more socially engaged, right? Whether that is locally in the St. Louis community or whether that is globally. Can you speak a little bit more about what you hope as senators? I think, what was your name? Middle?
Denny.
I think you mentioned a little bit about having that cross-cultural collaboration or even more collaboration between different colleges. So a couple of things that maybe you are aware of, maybe that's not. So engineering has a pretty good collaboration with the B school, but that's not as often as it should be. And another one is, I think you mentioned the Society of Women Engineers, but there's also a smaller organization called NESB, specifically focused on women of color who are engineers. So that's another thing that I would encourage you to reach out to them and represent them if whoever is elected, since you mentioned that. So I guess could you speak a little bit more about your experiences and your hopes about getting your college to be more socially engaged, whether that is locally in the St. Louis community or
Right. That's a great question. So first of all, what you mentioned about there's smaller groups that I actually wasn't aware of that, and this is something I'd really like to bring to light. I'd like to be the voice for all these smaller parks CSOs and give them adequate representation at these Senate meetings, get them the support, the funding, whatever they may need. I want to go to their meetings. I want to know what they need, and I want to represent them. Your other point was how are we going to?
How do you get parks to be a little bit more socially engaged
In the SLU community?
In the SLU community and the global community. How do you relate? I would say, for me, being a Billiken has a huge piece with social justice. Social justice is a huge part of the mission and my purpose for going here, right?
Oh.
So I'd argue that even as a park student, that's important for you to be engaged in the social justice piece. So I guess, how do you get your college to be a little bit more engaged in social justice?
Yeah, I got you.
Rewords the question a little bit for you.
I completely agree with what you're saying. Right now, Parks College is kind of homogenous. Like I said, there's kind of a bubble. It's engineers that know what they want to do, and they're very good at it. But the fact is, in the real world, we're going to be working with everyone, business students, health sciences, everyone. And again, that comes back to including everyone. We need art students coming in and helping us with our spreading awareness about what we're doing. We need people to help advise us on how to be more involved in the St. Louis community. If we can get more than one type of person involved in these organizations, I think that's a great way to do it, and I think it'll give the students, both in parks and outside of parks, exposure to these other personalities and ideas, and I think that'll be beneficial to everybody.
I guess I'll go next. So as for the Engineers Without Borders, I see that as one of the perfect ways for engineers to get involved in the social justice kind of aspect. There are certainly other things that we should do, like push for engineers to be a part of other groups that aren't in Parks College, because I know that's the stigma is I'm in Parks College, so I'm an engineer. But for me, I'm pre-law as well, so I take other classes with other people and I see other people all the time, and so I do other things than just Parks College things. And so I think pushing for some of those students to broaden their horizons and like look into other groups. And then with the Engineers Without Borders, I think that's one of the perfect ways. Like this is one of the things that I would work with to make sure that they always keep their charter, just because they they do so much by actually going to other countries and planning how to get them clean water. Like that's a perfect way for engineers to get involved in social justice, is for them to use their talents, use their math and the skills that they acquire from being in parks, and then use it to help people around the world. And I think that's amazing. And so like pushing for something more like that. So that's what I would say is that's the perfect way to get engineers involved with social justice, is push them into an environment that they are doing what they like to do, which is math and science, and then push it into a place where they're helping other people with it. So.
For me, SLU being a Jesuit university, it's very important that the curriculum at Parks College represent our values for social justice. So one way that I'd really like to increase social justice awareness within Parks College is by talking with the deans and department heads on how we can better incorporate social justice into our introductory classes that all the Parks students have to take. That's kind of a part that's left out of the curriculum right now, and I think that's something that we could really use. As well, I think Engineers Without Borders and many of the other CSOs that exist within SGA and within the greater St. Louis community are great, and continuing to encourage Park students to be part of those is very important, and embracing them.
So before we wrap up, before we wrap up, I know we have 2 senators who are running for unopposed seats. If you guys, this is a good opportunity. If you guys just want to stand up, say your name, what you're running for, and then we can kind of formally conclude.
Okay. My name is Vogt. I am running for commuter senator. I am studying nuclear medicine. I was kind of brought into SGA really late in the year, and I kind of learned a lot about it. I'm going to a few meetings, and I know SGA is really important to everyone, and I'm actually really excited to start getting involved more and making decisions that you guys make. So, yeah, I guess that's it.
My name is My name is Tommy Lucas. I'm the current graduate student senator. I represent all of the graduate students on campus. I'm one of 2 graduate student senators. I'm running unopposed. If you know a graduate student who likes to be involved and is currently doing nothing with their time and they have loads of free time, then we have another position open, and we'd just put them in contact with me. I will recruit them, I promise you. So that's who I am and what I'm running for.
So that kind of formally concludes our evening. Just a round of applause for our moderators for taking And elections are next Monday, so make sure you vote and encourage all your friends to vote. So yeah, thanks guys.